think the time has finally come that I create my own version of a Neverwinter race guide. Roll it. So you are new to Neverwinter and probably have zero clues on what race you should pick. You might not even know what class you should pick, let alone the race. I myself have a hard enough time choosing if I should slap on some pineapple on a pizza or not. Just kidding. Pineapple doesn't belong on pizza. Do not make me hurt you. So I'm hoping that with my help that maybe you will make a cool choice for yourself regarding what race you will pick in the end.
It is not our abilities that show what we truly are. It is our choices.
And like Harry Potter said in the Chamber of Secrets, it is our choices that show what we truly are far more than our abilities. Neverwinter, as of the year 2021, has 15 races in total. Let's start with the Dragonborn. The Dragonborn are born to fight. Dragonborns are a race of wandering mercenaries, soldiers, and adventurers. Long ago, their empire contended for worldwide domination, but now only a few rootless clans of these honorable warriors remain to pass on their legends of ancient glory. If you choose this race, you will receive 5% more healing from all spells and abilities. Picking Dragonborn will also grant you +2 points to any 2 of your ability scores. And just so you understand what I'm talking about, here on your screen is the ability stats that you can choose from. And each one provides different benefits, which you can see here while you hover your cursor above each ability, making it easier to actually make a choice. And you will also gain 3% to critical strike and 3% to power. These percentages are very useful in 2021 because of how stats function now. All classes cap stats with percentages, 90% to be exact. So these are definitely useful. A very good race for any type of class you might choose. Dragonborns used to be the absolute best in slot due to the 3% extra damage they used to give you, but since the combat rework, these have been changed, making them less powerful and more balanced with other races. Dragonborns are always a decent choice, but in the end it comes down to what class you want to play and what kind of visual preferences you prefer. Some will like the Dragonborn look and some will not. The choice is yours. Now let's move on to the human race. Of all the civilized races, humans are the most adaptable and diverse. Human settlements can be found almost anywhere, and human morals, customs, and interests vary greatly. Choosing the human race will grant you a 1% increase to all of your stats, regardless if they are offensive or defensive, which isn't a small number considering how many stats we have. But having the 1% increase in all stats isn't game-breaking either, because you can't focus these stats on something specific that you might need more. But it does make the human race a very balanced race and very viable regardless. You will also gain +3 points to any ability score, but you only have one choice when it comes to ability scores, just 3 points in it, not 2 like the Dragonborn. The human race doesn't excel in one area, but in many. And another plus for me is they look cool. And looking cool is always fun with humans. Now we have the Metallic Dragonborn race. The Metallic Dragonborn are descendants of metallic dragons. Although free to choose their own path, they often embody the values of their ancestors, honor, justice, and respect for life. The Metallic Dragonborn were the undisputed best in slot race for a long while, and still are very good in my opinion, but more balanced with the other races nowadays. The Metallic Dragonborn grants you 3% more healing from all spells and abilities, and your health points are 3% higher. You will also be granted +2 points to any 2 stats, and you will gain 3% to crit strike and power. So as you can see here, the Dragonborn and the Metallic Dragonborn are extremely similar, but they do have small differences which can help you decide which of the 2 you would prefer if Dragonborn was your thing. The normal Dragonborn has 5% healing, the Metallic has only 3. So the Metallic has 2% less healing than the normal Dragonborn, but the Metallic Dragonborn grants you something the Dragonborn does not, and that's 3% extra health points, and basically the rest are the same. So while this is a small difference, that small difference can definitely affect your overall choice depending on class preferences. For example, if you pick to play a tank, then Metallic Dragonborn in my opinion would be better because it will provide you with a bigger health pool, thus more survivability. You get the point in where I'm going with this. Half-Orcs. Half-Orcs combine the best abilities of humans and orcs, though some would argue that the good qualities of orcs are few and hard to find. From their orc blood, half-orcs inherit great physical strength and toughness. They are fierce warriors and fleet of foot as they charge into battle. Picking this race will grant you an extra 5% to crit severity, which means you will deal more damage when you crit strike. You will also be granted +2 to dexterity and either 2 to constitution or strength, and you will gain a 10% bonus movement speed for 3 seconds when you enter combat. This race is also decent, even though having +3 to crit severity isn't really a benefit in the current state of the game due to how easy it is to obtain crit severity in general, but still a good race. since you can sacrifice crit severity in-game or somewhere else, and then focus capping on other stats, since you get 5% for free using this race. And the movement speed benefit is not important in my eyes, but some slower classes can benefit from it during battle. The Aasimar. This race is the newest addition to Neverwinter. Aasimar bear with their souls the light of the heavens. They are descendant from humans with a touch of the power of Mount Celestia, the divine realm of many lawful deities. Aasimar are born to serve as champions of the gods, and their birth is hailed as blessed events. They are a people of otherworldly visages, with luminous features that reveal their celestial heritage. Racial traits of the Aasimar is your power, outgoing healing, incoming healing, defense, and maximum hit points are increased by 2%. You are also granted plus 2 points to any 2 stats. The Aasimar also grants an increase of 2% to the maximum hit points of anybody in your party. And of course, this effect does not stack. The Aasimar, in my opinion, is a really good race for support classes, but it's not bad for DPSers either, and might even grant more survivability with the defense and the health points. But I can see the Aasimar race as a go-to mostly for healers and tanks. The Gith. This was one of the most recent additions to Neverwinter as well. After centuries of enslavement and abuse at the hands of the Mind Flayers, the Gith race has split into 2 factions, the monastic Gith Zerai and the warlike Gith Yankee. Civil war is a constant between the Gith Zerai and the Gith Yankee, but several renegade groups have allied to hunt their former master, and many travel to Faerun to seek salvation for their race. Racial abilities that the Gith grant you is 2 points to dexterity and either 2 to strength or intelligence. They also have heightened endurance, which allows the Gith to regenerate stamina 5% faster. And while in combat, you also gain 5% more combat advantage. The Gith Yankee are not my cup of tea when it comes to their appearance, but if you are okay with the way they look, like the Grinch Stole Christmas kind of look, then their stats are definitely viable, and depending on what you need and class you play, the combat advantage and extra stamina gain will serve you well. The Wood Elf. Wild and free, elves guard their forested lands using stealth and deadly arrows from the trees. They build their home in close harmony with forests, so perfectly joined that travelers often fail to notice that they have entered an elven community until it is too late. Using the Wood Elf will grant you an extra 5% to crit strike. They also grant you plus 2 to dexterity and either plus 2 to intelligence or wisdom. You will also have 20% resistance to effects that slow your movement. Another decent race, pretty well balanced, depending on what you need. The crit strike is useful and the resistance to slow is relevant in some areas, especially the new dungeon coming out in the new module, New Sharandar, where the slow effects apply in some of those boss fights. Not my favorite choice due to looks, but very viable regardless. The Sun Elf. The Sun Elves have lived apart from the events of the world for thousands of years. They mimic the aloof nature of their society and their personal actions as well. They are slow to smile, quick to disparage, and always ready to demonstrate their superior knowledge and skill. Using the Sun Elf will grant you an extra 5% to action point gain. You will also have plus 2 points to intelligence and either to dexterity or charisma. And in addition to that, you will also have a 10% resistance to control effects. The Sun Elf looks great, and the increased action point gain is very useful for your cooldowns. I think any class can benefit from this trait, but mostly supports, in my opinion, can take advantage of this even more. The Sun Elf is a reliable choice, and if you are into looking good, they definitely do that. The Dwarf. The glory of the ancient dwarven kingdoms lies far in the past. Yet these stout champions remain vigilant against the myriad of foes arrayed against them, claiming that they stepped fully formed from the heart of the world. Dwarves have much in common with the stone and the steel that they respect. As a dwarf, you will have increased resistance to effects that knock or push you. You will be granted 2 points to constitution and either 2 to strength or wisdom. You will also gain a 5% increase to your defense. Dwarves in Neverwinter have always been a tank-oriented race, and judging by these racial traits, it seems that still holds true. Extra resistance to knock and pushbacks will help with tanking in both PvE and PvP, and the defense is a must for tanks. If it was me, I would have added an awareness benefit as well to make this slightly more attractive for tanks, but still a great choice for tanking, and it always will be. Halflings. Halflings are a small race known for their resourcefulness, quick wits, and steady nerves. They are nomadic folk who roam waterway and marshlands. No people travel farther or see more of what happens in the world than the halflings do. The halfling will grant you a bonus of 5% to deflect, also plus 2 points to dexterity and either 2 to charisma or 2 to constitution. And you will also have a 10% resistance to control effects. Halflings in Neverwinter have mostly been a staple in the PvP world, but they are pretty good tanks as well with the control effect of 10% and the 5% deflect. But I still believe they are more suited for PvP. But nonetheless, they do well in PvE, and it's still a good choice. Half-Elf. Descended from elves and humans, the half-elves are a vital race in which the best features of elves and humans often appear. The half-elf will grant you 2 ability scores, which is predetermined on the class you choose. Then you are also granted a further +2 ability points to Constitution and either 2 to Charisma or to Wisdom. Your critical severity, deflection, and gold bonus is also increased by 3%. Not a bad race to choose by all means. Has an extra +2 ability scores added, and the deflection and crit severity are useful depending on what class you end up choosing. And they also look pretty good as a race. Tiefling. Plagued by a dark and sinister heritage, Tieflings walk through the shadows of the race's past, savoring the darkness or trying to escape it. Tieflings are scattered throughout Faerun, littered geographically in a reminder of distant times when devils and demons exerted an active influence over the lands. Tiefling is a pretty great DPS race. They grant you an additional 5% damage when your targets are below half health. You also be granted +2 to Charisma, and either 2 to Constitution or to Intelligence. And while attacking, you also have a 10% chance to apply Infernal Wrath to your attacker for 5 seconds, which reduces the damage you take from the target's attacks by 5%. The Tiefling is a good choice if you are damage oriented, and they also look pretty cool with that swag tail of theirs. Drow. Drow are a decadent race of dark elves whose beauty and sophistication fail to mask hearts all too often stained in evil. The vast majority of dark elves base their behavior and attitude on the worship of the chaotic evil goddess Lolth. Also known as that the Spider Drow society is organized into houses. The heads of the most powerful houses occupy leadership positions in the various cities of the Underdark. That's the subterranean realm beneath Faerun that the dark elves call home. As a Drow, when you attack, you have a 5% chance to apply Dark Fire for 5 seconds. This effect reduces the target's defense by 5%. You will also be granted +2 to Dexterity and either 2 to Charisma or Wisdom, and you will also have 5% to Deflect Severity. The Drow is a decent class who is a walking debuffer just by attacking. A decent choice as well. Not my favorite, but far from being bad. Moon Elf. Moon Elves revel in travel and exploration, open to new experiences and honest by nature. Moon Elves are often seen as worthy companions by the people they meet in their travels. The Moon Elf will grant you 3% more action point gain and stamina. You will also receive +2 points to Intelligence and either to Dexterity or Charisma. Also, a 10% resilience to control effect. In my opinion, this race is good for support classes mostly due to the stamina and the action point gain. But that being said, any class can benefit from either or, DPS tank or healer. Now, the Menzoberranzan Renegade. I butchered that, but that's how I say it. Drow from the city of Menzoberranzan are raised in a world of lies and treachery. The noble house of these dark elves are in constant conflict, vying for power and the favor of their evil goddess Lolth, the Spider Queen. Sometimes the Drow tires of constant strife. Others see through the corrupt dogma of the way of Lolth and seek a better way. There is no place within Menzoberranzan society for such Drow, and when discovered are branded as renegades, outcast from their house, and exiled from the city. When attacking a foe, you have a 5% chance to apply Fairy Fire for 5 seconds, which reduces your target's defense by 3%, and the damage they deal reduced by 3 as well. They also grant you +2 to Dexterity and either 2 to Charisma or Wisdom, and you gain 5% to Deflect Severity. Another good race for debuffing and pretty well balanced in general. Although it does seem like more of a support class race, you definitely can use it as DPS as well. So those were all the races you could possibly choose. For me, the Dragonborns, both metallic and non-metallic, are still top-notch despite the nerf and removal of the 3% extra damage. They do well for all types of classes, the jack of all trades if you will. They have extra healing, extra health, 3% more power, 3% more crit chance, and really good traits. Only drawback for some is the way they look, but I personally love the way the metallic Dragonborn look. But it all depends on individual taste. Also, the Aasimar for me are up there with their extra defense, power, incoming healing, and outgoing healing, and extra health to your party. Actually, every single class here is decent. It just depends on preference of what kind of stats you want to squeeze out of them. And you know, a lot of people tend to look at the looks more often than not. So yeah, all these races are pretty well balanced and some are slightly better than others, but nothing game breaking. Depending on what type of class you will play, whether it will be DPS, tank, or healer, the choice is yours to make. And remember, if you ever decide to change race, you can. Also keep in mind what matters most is if you enjoy your race yourself. After all, you are the one that's going to be looking at it every time you play it or log in. Only your opinion matters. So have fun and choose wisely. Galactic here. Peace out. Stay safe.